these days, and it's been going on for a long while with computer graphics. They do all this foo-for-all that takes up time, serves no useful purpose, so I kind of foo-for-awed it there. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the cows were singing opera. It was a strange ranch. Meanwhile, my phone just slipped. I have it propped up. You obviously can't see because what I'm talking about is behind the camera while I'm in front of it. As you're looking at it, conceive of it as being behind you, if that works. A while ago, I did a video, a short one, because I didn't talk. That's why it was short. I am kind of prolix sometimes. As XPFC Wintergreen would say, my prose is too prolix. Later he was promoted to ex-sergeant Wintergreen. Anyway, I did a video on how to open, without too much fuss and bother, a Knob Creek bottle. A Knob Creek bottle, unopened. Now, I want you to be able to see it. So I'm going to talk this time. You take the tab and twist. Then you pull. Ta-da! And we'll see if the wax will come off the cork. Not easily, so I'm just going to pull the cork. And if you've been watching these videos, I'm not sure how well it's going to do. The camera's still tilted more than it usually is. Whoa, did you hear that? I'm not a big cork pop person, but that one popped. I'm going to pull this back here, because with a brand new bottle, you get the glug glug. Well, I got a little more in there than I intended, but this is Knob Creek 9-year. It is, yes, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Of course it is. It's 9 years. It is 100 proof. This is the entry-level Knob Creek. They have the 9-year, there's a 12-year, there's an 18-year, there's a maple flavored. There, of course, is Knob Creek rye. And they have a, I can't remember, there are two. One I know is a single barrel select, which is 120. Then there's the single barrel reserve, I think is what they call it, which I believe is still the 100 proof. And of course you get store picks. And I think I've done a video, Sippin' and Talkin', which this is, by the way. I meant to say it already, and I didn't. This is a Sippin' and Talkin' video. There are store picks, and the Kelly Liquor store pick that I'm on my 5th bottle of is absolutely superb. But what I want to talk to you about tonight is seals. I don't know how well you can see it. Wax. Wax. Ew. I hate all seals. Not the kind that go, oh, 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 but seals on whiskey bottles. Why? You can get a better seal with a screw top. It's easier to open. You can seal it back better than a cork ever will. And you don't have to fight this horrible thick wax. I've never had a Knob Creek bottle where the wax crumbled. It's always been sticky, almost gooey for me, but a lot of people get it just crumbles in their hand. Why are they putting us through that? Is tradition more important than the convenience of the guy who's paying the freight? I guess, because that's the only reason they're still using seals, is tradition. Seals and corks, we've always done it that way. Old Forester 100, screw top. Best Old Forester I've ever had, and the cheapest, by the way. Evan Williams bottled in bond, screw top. Extremely good whiskey, and it costs $20-25, and it's worth at least $10 more than that. It's worth $30 or $35. This, by the way, cost me $29.99 at Kelly Liquors. Now, Kelly Liquors is not a national chain. They don't get the price breaks that Total Wine does. And so they're always $1 or $2 cheaper. The last Knob Creek 9 I have a record of was $33 at Total Wine. Bourbon prices, at least here in Albuquerque, have fallen off the cliff. Obviously, I don't want them to go too low, because that'll mean that the liquor stores aren't making money, the distributors aren't making money, and the distilleries aren't making money. Now, if we took out the middleman, eliminated the distributor, wouldn't hurt my feelings any, but as long as federal law mandates a 3-tier system, I don't want them people to go out of business, because they're the ones that get the liquor from the still to my glass. But why a seal? That's asinine. What ain't asinine is this whiskey. Oh, that is good. There are people who talk about the neck pour, and it is a spotty phenomenon. Some bottles, the first glass is the best glass you're ever going to get out of that bottle. Some bottles, that is the worst glass, and it gets better from there on. Some bottles, the first glass is the same as the last glass, and all in between. But there are people who will swear that the neck pour is absolute junk. I've never come across anybody who said he did it, but I have heard of people who will pour out the first half of the bottle. So you buy $30 worth of whiskey and drink $15 worth of it. Who's a fool? It ain't me. That is heavy on the vanilla. Of course, there's alcohol. This is 100 proof whiskey. Where else can you find 100 proof whiskey for $30? Well, I mentioned Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. Okay, there is some. But this is from... This is not a quote-unquote cheap bourbon. But the price is reasonable. Vanilla, alcohol, of course, at 100 proof. I think there's caramel and brown sugar in there. There's something dark and earthy that I can't identify. Did I mention honey already? If I didn't, there is some honey there. And this isn't a review, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time dissecting the whiskey. But this smells good. And I remember the first time I had Knob Creek 9. Well, I remember my reaction to it. I couldn't tell you the month, the year. Almost certainly was 2021. I think it was that early that I tried it. And I didn't particularly care for it. I had Larceny, Knob Creek 9, and there was one other that I can't remember right about the same time that I didn't particularly care for. About a year later, I tried the Knob Creek 9 and the Larceny, and I liked the Larceny, so I got a third bottle and didn't like it. I liked the Knob Creek, and I've liked every single bottle of Knob Creek I've ever had. I've had, I don't know how many bottles of this 9-year. I'm on my 5th bottle of the Kelly Liquor Store Pick, and I've had 1 bottle of the 12-year, and it's fantastically good. That nose is good. There's some seals that are wax like this. Maker's Mark has actually trademarked their red wax dripping down the bottle, which seems like a silly thing to trademark. Garrison Brothers dips it down. If this was their bottle, the wax line would be right along the shoulder here, but it doesn't drip down. That's trademarked, remember, and they use different color waxes, Garrison Brothers does. Then there are plastic seals. And the best plastic seals have a tab that you can pull and undo the tape like I did here, and then open the cork. The worst of them have this strip running up and down that is allegedly perforated, but first you have to find the perforations, and every time, whether I start from the top or from the bottom, only one side will come loose, and I wind up unwinding it this way, which is not the way it's allegedly designed. Opening a bottle with a seal is just an unnecessary holy pain where I sit. On the palate, that's honey and brown sugar and cinnamon. It's sweet, but it's not brightly sweet. This is a dark, earthy bourbon. It's sweet enough to suit me. I like the sweet and the dark both, which is why I like Balcones whiskey. It has the sweet element and the dark element, and very intensely on both of them. I'm going to try moving my chair over a tad. There, now I'm not having to lean around the bottle because I want you to see the bottle. One of the things that I never was able to do till I started recording with my phone here on the kitchen table was I didn't have a way for you to see the bottle. Now, it's still not professional. You saw the thoroughly amateur title card. But at least you can see what I'm drinking. I don't have a bar like Kurt and Trenton of SLB Drinks. I don't have a table or counter or whatever it is where Josh and Aaron set of stuff and whiskey. I don't have a barrel as Daniel Whittington does on the Whiskey Vault. But I have what I have, and it's better than it was, and it's still thoroughly amateur. And I don't say this very often, but I do appreciate it if you like the video, if you do like it. Subscribe to the channel if you can put up with the amateur nature of it. And share it if you like it. I have no problem with you sharing my videos far and wide. There's a share button for a reason, right? Vanilla Coke. I have tried all sorts of other things to clear my palate. The one that works best, believe it or not, is whatever variety of Coke. Water doesn't do it. Soda crackers don't do it. Oyster crackers don't do it, although I did like them well enough when I tried them. Coke does the job, and I don't know why. I seem to have an odd duck palate. I'm an odd duck, quack, quack. If this was the only whiskey I could ever drink for the rest of my life, I wouldn't complain. I mean, I would miss a lot of things. But this is good enough to be the whiskey for the next 20 or 30 years, however many I have. I'm 65, so 20 or 30 is probably a good guess as to how much time I have left. 85, 95 when I die. When I die, I may not go to heaven. I don't know if they let cowboys in. If they don't, just let me go to Texas. 'Cause Texas is as close as I've been. When I didn't intend to start singing. And if my voice had been as it usually is, I would have quit after about 2-3 words. But I'm actually singing as well as I ever do. And you're probably saying, if that's the best he does, he should never sing. And I won't argue. Although, here's a neat thing. How much time? Okay, I'm only at 6. I'm way ahead of where I thought I'd be. I thought I was at 20 or something now. But I've been singing Sacred Harp for some years now. I started in... When did I start? Was it 2011? 2011, so 14 years now. And over the past 5 years, I've had to slack off because of my work schedule. The job I do, by definition, by nature, cannot have a set schedule. But I've been singing Sacred Harp now for 14 years. It doesn't seem that long. And one of the things about Sacred Harp singing is, yes, there are some fine singers in the Hollow Square. But you don't have to be a good singer to be a valuable part of the music. I sit on the tenor, and usually, if I don't have good singers on either side of me, I can't really do it right. But give me at least one good singer on and preferably two, and I can do okay. But just now I sang fairly well. And this coming Sunday, for the first time in 2, 3, 4 months, I don't know, I have a singing Sunday off. And so if the Lord tarries and the creek don't rise, I'll be in there with my book of singing Sacred Harp. It's fun music, but this is not the channel for that, so I'll forbear to explain it at least right now. But I know, this is not a review, but I know one thing. You ought to buy this if you haven't tried it. Now, every palate's different. You may not like it. If so, that's okay. I'm not going to jump down your throat. I'm not going to order you to like it. I'm not going to call you names if you don't. I'm not going to categorically say your palate's crap. There are people who do that. Those are people who need to gain a brain. Or at the very least, their mama needed to teach them manners when they was about yay high. Kids. Yay high over here you can't see, and if I do it here, well, you have no reference, so what does it mean to you? But you know what burns my butt? A flame about yay high. And there was a thought that popped into my head a couple of times earlier when I was enjoying the whiskey, and I, without intending to, I found myself doing this, patting the marble here that sits on the tabletop. And I remembered Israel Hendricks of Whiskey One. He's here in Albuquerque. He's over on the west side. And when he takes a sip of whiskey, he'll go, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's how he is. It's not anything he puts on. It's kind of amusing to me because I don't do that. I pat on the marble, or I nod my head, or I look at, we all have our own ways of indicating to ourselves, really, what the pleasure is. And yeah, I'm sitting here on camera. I know that, oh, by the way, let me interrupt myself because I think this is important and I've been forgetting to say it. This channel is up to 55 subscribers, the most it's ever been. There are people out there with millions of subscribers. I've never had that goal. I didn't start this channel to get subscribers, for that matter, although given the niche this fills, providing information for those who are new to whiskey, I think the more subscribers the better. Especially newbies. If you're new to whiskey, subscribe to the channel. If you outgrow it, fine, unsubscribe. Won't hurt my feelings nan bit. Won't hurt my feelings at all. I've been around enough black people in my life that I have picked up bits and pieces of black English. And that's one of them. I got that from Miss Dorothy in Dallas. We worked at the same hotel. And she would say things like that. It won't hurt my feelings nan bit. She lived down in the Fair Park area, which was fairly tough, and she carried a pair of scissors in her purse, and I have no doubt would use them. But anyway, I'm at 22 minutes now. Now I'm where I thought I was 4 minutes or 6 minutes ago. 8 minutes? I don't remember. Anyways, so I want to wrap this up. I've done a little sipping. I've done a lot of talking. You may wished I'd shut up and sipped more. Some people wished I'd talk less. And as I said, I do tend to rattle on. But if I wanted a script, I would write a script. And when I'm dealing with a specific topic or reviewing a particular whiskey, then I do stick a lot closer to that topic or the whiskey. But sipping and talking is exactly that. It's the nearest I can get to me and you a sitting on the front porch with a glass of whiskey in our hands and just talking back and forth. And that would be fun. I don't know any specifically Southern toasts, or if I do, I don't know that they're specifically Southern. But here's one that seems to always pop to the top of my mind and fits the Southern way of thinking and talking as well as anything I know. Here's mud in your eye.